Students, in this session we will be discussing about hemophilia. In the previous session what we have discussed is regarding ITP, that is immunopathic thrombocytopenic purpura. It was an acquired disorder, acquired bleeding disorder, and when you are talking about hemophilia, this is also a bleeding disorder, but it is having an inherited pattern or it is a genetic disorder. So it is a congenital disorder, we can say it is a genetic disorder, and the other one was acquired disorder. So even though this both are bleeding disorders, so we can see what is hemophilia in detail. Hemophilia is a group of hereditary genetic disorders that impair the body's ability to control blood clotting or coagulation. And this coagulation that is used to stop bleeding when a blood vessel is broken. So in hemophilia, mainly the coagulation cascade will be affected, which involves certain factors which are responsible for the clotting, and it is a hereditary genetic disorder. We will see the types or classification of hemophilia first. So the first classification is hemophilia A, or the first type of hemophilia is classic hemophilia or hemophilia A. This is the most common form of hemophilia, and it is caused by a reduction in the amount or activity of factor 8. And the factor 8, it is in the section of coagulation cascade. The factor 8 deficiency results in the formation of fibrin deficient clots. So the clots will be with the fibrin deficiency, so that it makes the coagulation much more prolonged and the clot is unstable. So this is the deficiency of hemophilia A, that is factor 8 deficiency, which leads to fibrin deficiency in the clots. That is the main problem in hemophilia A. Hope you understood. Hemophilia B, that is a factor 9 deficiency, and comparing to factor 8 deficiency, that is hemophilia A, this is much uncommon, and it is deficiency of factor 9, and it leads to, that is very rare hemophilia, and it is otherwise known as Christmas disease. Okay, this disorder is caused by mutation in the factor 9 gene and leading to factor 9 deficiency. The third type of hemophilia is hemophilia C, and this is because of reduced levels of factor 11. So hemophilia A is because of factor 8, B is because of factor 9, and hemophilia C, that is the another common hemophilia, that is because of factor 11. So usually the second classification of hemophilia 2. Here we are explaining the factor 8 and 9 deficiency, that is hemophilia A and B, that is Christmas disease and the hemophilia A, into mild, moderate or severe, that is a second classification. And depending upon the clotting factor 8 or 9 in the blood, how much amount of factor 8 and 9 is there in the blood, depending upon that, again the classification comes like mild hemophilia, moderate hemophilia and severe hemophilia. Mild hemophilia is 5 to 30% of normal blood clotting factor will be present. Moderate hemophilia, 1 to 5% of normal blood clotting factor will be present, and severe hemophilia, that is less than 1% of normal blood clotting factor. So these are the three classification depending upon the amount of clotting factor present in the blood: mild, moderate and severe. So regarding the etiology, basically it is a genetic disorder, inherited disorder, And deficiency of factor 8 leads to hemophilia A. Deficiency of factor 9 leads to hemophilia B. And these genes are located in the X chromosome. You should not read as 10. It is X chromosomes which carries the genes related to clotting factors. Okay. So what happens when it is affected with X chromosome is that a male who has the abnormal gene on his X chromosome will have hemophilia because a male has XY chromosomes. Only one X is there. So a female must have the abnormal gene on both of her X chromosomes to have hemophilia. This is very rare. So male with X abnormal chromosome, surely he will exhibit the manifestations of hemophilia, but a female to present the manifestation, she should possess both X chromosomes with disease. A female is normally a carrier of hemophilia because she is having a normal and abnormal, and a boy with from a carrier mother usually gets the hemophilia if she has the abnormal gene on one of her X chromosome. Even though she does not have the condition, she can pass the gene on to her children. So, understood regarding the etiology, it is a genetic disorder. X chromosome is affected. So, as males are carrying only one X chromosome, if that X chromosome is again affected, he will be presenting the hemophilia. But female to get the disease, she should get both affected X chromosome. Okay. So this is the X-linked recessive carrier mother and unaffected father. So if the mother is a carrier with X chromosome, one is affected and one is normal, what happens is unaffected son can be the there is chance of unaffected son, but affected son with a carrier daughter also can be there if the mother is a carrier. So when you are understanding the pathophysiology, you can understand the hemostasis. It can happen in the primary hemostasis and the secondary hemostasis is occurring. So primary hemostasis, that is vasoconstriction and the platelet activation and the platelet plug formation, is happening in the primary hemostasis. So in ITP, when you are comparing the ITP, one more point to add is primary hemostasis is affected in ITP, and coagulation cascade is the part of secondary hemostasis, and it is involving the tissue factors and other coagulation mechanism, which is related to the factors of coagulation. So in our condition, that is hemophilia, the coagulation cascade is affected, which is helping in the blood clot formation. So that is the explanation of hemostasis based on the hemophilia. So in hemophilia, the different factors in the coagulation cascade, that is, you can see the third box, will be affected, which is causing in the difficulty to produce blood clot. Next we can see the clinical features. Excessive bleeding can be there, like bleeding in the mouth from a cut or bite or from cutting or losing a teeth, because that is depending upon the mild, moderate or severe amount, depending upon the amount of factor 8 or factor 9 deficiency. Nosebleeds for no obvious reason can be there. Heavy bleeding from minor cut, then bleeding from a cut that resumes after stopping for a short time, and hematuria also can be there, that suggests the internal hemorrhage. We can see hemarthrosis, bleeding in the joints, hemorrhages in the joints causing pain, swelling and limited movements, and may not be knowing the reason for hemarthrosis. Suddenly the child will be presenting this pain and swelling and limited movement can be there. And in some conditions we can see bleeding in the brain, and it is a life-threatening situation. For the child, long-lasting painful headaches or neck pain or stiffness can be seen because of increased ICP, repeated vomiting, sleepiness or changes in the behavior, sudden weakness or clumsiness of the arms or legs or problems in walking. Double vision can be the convulsions or seizures also can be seen. So these are the manifestations in the bleeding in the brain. So you can see the affected limbs because of hemarthrosis. It's very painful and the child will have very painful movements, limited movements can be seen. Regarding the diagnosis, we can have the history collection regarding the family history of bleeding disorder. That is, carrier status in the family can be collected from the family history. Physical examination can be done for the bleeding tendencies, blood test, clotting time, bleeding time, levels of clotting factor, platelet count, bleeding time, thrombin time, everything can be done. The specific assay for factor 8, factor 9 will confirm the diagnosis of hemophilia. Confirmation is by specific assays. Then pre-implantation diagnosis can be done. Women who are hemophilia carriers can have children who don't have hemophilia. For this process, women have their eggs removed and then fertilized by sperm in laboratory. The embryos that results from this fertilization are then tested for hemophilia. Only embryos that lack the condition will be implanted in the womb by IVF. So this is the pre-implantation diagnosis and a genetic therapy for a carrier mother to get with children without hemophilia or carrier state. So this is about the diagnosis and some amount of genetic management which can be done by the medical team for hemophilia. Next is amniocentesis will diagnose the hemophilia prenatally. So we can have the selective abortion based on the if the family think it's burden. DNA testing for hemophilia A will detect the carriers of the disease. So when the family somebody is affected, we can have the genetic testing to confirm the carrier stages in the family. The main treatment for hemophilia is replacement therapy, giving or replacing the clotting factor that is too low or missing. So the factor replacement is important in the hemophilia. Concentrates of the clotting factor are infused or injected directly into the bloodstream to prevent bleeding and to stop bleeding when it occurs. So as soon as needed, there is a spelling mistake, as soon as is needed based on the demand therapy. So usually the concentrates we will be administering for a preventive aspect or demand therapy. So to prevent bleeding we will be administering the concentrates, and also whenever the child is admitted with the demand with profuse bleeding we will be administering the concentrates. The type of treatment depends on the several things, including whether it is mild, moderate or severe hemophilia. So in mild hemophilia, that is between 5 to 30% of factor is present in the body. Replacement therapy is usually not needed for mild hemophilia. So if there is availability of up to 30% of factor in the body, usually we will not give any concentrates. However, medicine called desmopressin, that is DDAVP, is sometimes given to raise the body's levels of factor 8. This is to increase or boost the production of factor 8 in our body. Since the effect wears off with chronic use, it is applied only in certain situations, for example, prior to dental work or participation in sports to prevent or reduce bleeding. Desmopressin does not help in hemophilia B. So that is an important point regarding the management with desmopressin. So that is to boost the production of factor 8 in case of mild hemophilia. The second Moderate hemophilia, in this case, client need treatment only when bleeding occurs. So the concentrate administration, the replacement of the concentrate is done when there is demand. That is the moderate hemophilia. What we have seen is 1 to 5% of factor is available in the body. Severe hemophilia, client usually need long-term or shorter-term preventive therapy to prevent bleeding that could cause permanent damage to their joints, muscles or other parts of the body. So in order to prevent the complications, like a preventive therapy is required in the severe hemophilia. So hope you understood what I am talking here in the third and fourth point. Prophylactic therapy can be done and demand therapy can be done, and in moderate conditions we will be using demand therapy, and severe hemophilia we may have to opt the preventive therapy and the demand therapy. That's what we are discussing now. And regarding the complications of hemophilia, bone changes can be there like osteoporosis, muscle atrophy resulting in crippling deformities as a consequence of hemarthrosis. So there will be bone deformities and easy breakability can be there in as a complication in bone. Intracranial bleeding, it is a life-threatening condition. Gastrointestinal hemorrhage leading to intestinal obstruction can be the hematomas in the spinal cord resulting in paralysis, and if there's bleeding in the airway, it can cause airway obstruction due to bleeding in the neck, mouth or thorax. So these are some of the complications of hemophilia. So as bleeding disorder, I am discussing the nursing management of ITP and hemophilia together. Ineffective protection related to low platelet or clotting factors. So low platelet can be written for ITP and clotting factors you can write for hemophilia. Risk for infection related to chronic use of steroids, splenectomy and also DDAVP. So this concentrates, everything can leads to risk for infection. Risk for hemorrhage related to low platelet count or clotting factors. Deficient knowledge related to insufficient information about the disorder and its effects. So hope you understood the topic. Thank you very much for kind listening. Bye students.